Welcome everyone to Fantasy Six Packs, two off the tee, Fantasy Six Packs only golf, DFS, and gambling show. We're the only people that care about golf. That's okay. I am your host, Keith Flemming. Unfortunately, Ryan Mulvey is not here tonight, getting some much needed family time. But the model maniac is here, Byron Lindeque. Did I get it right? I've been practicing it.
If you call me Ledecky and my game gets close to Hideki's game, I'll let it slide. But if it starts going badly, then you can start calling me Lindeque. But
damn
it, it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
Well, I mean, I also am notorious for mispronouncing names. It's at least nice when it's not like NFL players that are really famous and everybody's like, that's not how you say his name. But we are not here to talk about how bad I am at pronouncing names. We are here to talk two things. The big one is going to be the Canadian Open, Canada's national championship. I'm excited about it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least start with talking about this guy, Scottie Scheffler, for just a second. I said on a show last night, I went on In Between Media's 19th hole, that I think Scheffler has now established himself as the clear-cut best golfer since Tiger Woods. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, he's the GOAT of our generation, for sure. I mean, all the metrics, I think what Data Golf put out there that for their best stretch of golf, Scottie's like a couple fractions of a strokes gain behind Tiger, which is absurd. And to like repeatedly win 3 or 4 tournaments and to defend tournaments, like defending tournaments is so difficult. And he does it. And the Masters, he was one of the first people with his B game to top 5 after winning it the year before. Like no one shows up there and like does remotely good after winning it. And then he didn't even show up there playing well and still top 5. So he's the GOAT. I mean, he's establishing himself now with this putter, and it's beautiful to watch.
I love it. And like this week to me was just such a prime example of like how lucky we are to have a guy like this right now. Because having grown up idolizing Tiger Woods, obviously, I never thought I'd see a guy just grab the game by the throat again. And he has. And he's done it with a total different demeanor, mindset, which I kind of really dig. I understand some people find it boring. I love it. He just seems so genuine. And to me, that always makes people more appealing. But I mean, he didn't even have his A game last week, and he's winning by multiple shots. Like he was almost dead last in the field in strokes gained putting and led the field in scrambling. That's how good his chipping was, that he's making the least amount of putts compared to the field, leading the field in scrambling. And it's just his consistency. You go back the last now 2 years, since beginning of 2024, 13 wins. He has now finished top 10 in 28 of his last 33 starts and only outside the top 25 twice. So he's just always there. And I think we take for granted sometimes that level of consistency. But to me, that is what golf is all about. Like anybody can be great on their best day. What can you do on your worst or average day? And Scottie Scheffler's worst and average is so much better than most of the players on tour's best game right now.
I'm going to, at some point when I get some time, try and like take a look at Scottie Scheffler's worst ball striking performance in the last little while. Or maybe he's like 5th worst or something like that. One that's like probably close to gaining a stroke and a half or something on the field, and see like which golfers on the PGA Tour even get close to having their best matching Scottie. Like there's got to be a lot of PGA professionals, guys that are at the top of their sport, Keith, that their best day, never mind their best week, doesn't even rival Scottie's like bottom of the barrel performance. And I think that's what separates him from everybody else. Bryson, dynamite, fireworks. But any given day, that golf ball could fly any direction.
Right.
Rory, same situation. At Quail, didn't even like perform at a golf course that's perfectly suited for him. Rahm, Xander, it's just the consistency and the ceiling it's a combination of domination. It's crazy.
And I just, again, like I That's why I felt for him at the PGA when he seemed really frustrated with, I've spent my entire life trying to get this golf ball to go as straight as possible. And he is by far the best player I've ever seen do that. Because whether it's the drivers, his long irons, like you name it, he is going on a line all the time. And it bothered him, right? Like when he had to play with mud on his balls, because he's like, now you're throwing in another variable. Like, this isn't fair. I just hit the dead center of the fairway. Why am I now having to take, chance? Because he's perfected this into an art form. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he had like 4 more birdies than Sepp Straka and beat him by like 4 or 5 strokes. 4 less birdies than Sepp Straka and beat him by double that. Like it's just nuts.
I can't wait to see it. And I just, my biggest hope moving forward is we get Rory and the Roms and the DeChambos and stuff to really challenge him and see because that's kind of the last hurdle he has, in my opinion, of like, how great can he be? Can he do this in really tight scenarios? Because almost every time he's won a major, the guys will get close and then they kind of kill themselves. It's not exactly like he's running away with it. Now, granted, this is how Jack and Tiger play too. They just don't make mistakes and let other people do it for them. But I can't wait to see him against, because there's a lot of really talented guys on tour. And that's why I'm just in absolute awe of what he is doing.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Kenny on the Fantasy Golf Degenerate show about the PGA Tour is played on this razor's edge, right, Keith? Like these guys are with analytics and technology, they are running like they're redlining or very close to it if you're trying to win a tournament, And Scottie's gears, he's just got so many more gears that he's in 3rd gear while everyone's redlining in 6th gear downhill, and trying to catch him, their engine just blows up. Like Jon Rahm, you saw what he had, like what he was trying to do to catch Scottie, and then poof, just oil everywhere, like Spanish fluids just all over the back nine of Quail. And it's just, I think he just breaks them because they can't continue what he's doing. Like his consistent ceiling is just nuts. It's so crazy good. It's awesome.
That's what Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Now imagine getting punched in the mouth, 68 to 70 times around, because this guy just never makes a mistake. And then when he does, he's one of the best wedge players I've ever seen around the greens. Like, so much was made of his putting woes, and rightfully so. But his wedge game has always been so good that he's been able to mask it. And now that he's making putts, like in the words of, my favorite Happy Gilmore, Happy learned how to putt. Now you guys are all in big, big trouble. And that's what we're seeing. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because sometimes I can get outrageous and sometimes be a person in the moment, but I don't think it's close because of his consistency. Like Rory and them have had the highs, but never this long, sustained, just dominance where it's like he is always there.
Yeah. And, the slump he had was injury. Really,
Slump.
like the slump. He's 4th at the Masters. Was after the hand injury, it took him a while to get used to it, because that's probably the most important part of a golf swing. And you see him so anal about his grip. I'm assuming it took a while for that hand to get feeling real good again on there. And now he is. Rory had the run out to that Grand Slam could not have been better, because were it not for Ravioli, I don't know if Rory wins the Grand Slam.
I agree. No, I'm 100% with you, because I promise you, Rory would not have been able to have made all those mistakes on the back nine Sunday, and Scottie Scheffler wouldn't have buried his ass for him, like buried him for him. So, and again, I want to see him continue to be challenged, but I just don't want people to get bored with this. Like, really appreciate anybody that has played golf on any kind of level knows how hard it is to play, even at any level of consistency, no matter your handicap, but to be the best golfer in the world and just, literally to be like a robot, just repeat after repeat with the funky footwork that people made fun of for forever. And it's like, no, this dude knows his golf swing, and maybe we need less robotic swings and more just feel. Cause I think Scheffler is so much feel. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the best thing. He's the best golfer in the world that looks like us on his follow through.
Yeah.
Like me after a couple keystones on the back nine of a Sunday afternoon, the feet are just everywhere, and it's just the best. And it's squeaking when it's like moist on the ground. It's just the auditory stuff is great. So more Scottie every week. Let's go. But we do need some rivals for sure. Let's get some like great battles down the back nine.
One other quick thing on Scottie, and then we'll move on to the Canadian Open. Why is he not getting average? Why is he not all over my TV screen? I can't understand this. You saw his son have a blowout, right? And it's such a big deal. Where is like Pampers or somebody offering this dude a mega contract? Like, he is not controversial. He's white. He's a Christian. Like, to me, you could sell this all over America, and I'm shocked whether it's the PGA Tour, it's these big corporations. Like, I don't understand what's going on. What's the disconnect here?
Nike.
You think that's it?
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that he's so, well, he shapes the ball well, but he hits his stock shot over and over, like, better than anyone. And I think he just knows what works. And he's such a family guy. And he's making so much money, Keith.
I know. He made $60 million last year just playing golf, which that needs to be brought up. Like, how much is enough? Like, eventually, to me, it was my whole thing with the live is like, yes, I get you guys taking the bag, which, like, most of these guys were already rich beyond their wildest dream, and they did it playing a sport that the rest of us spend every waking moment we can trying to get out to do and paying to do.
It would be hilarious if he carries this on and makes more money on the PGA Tour than Jon Rahm, because he's on his way.
Oh yeah,
you give him another 10 years at this kind of rate. I know. I mean, 10 years of this would be Jesus. That's absurd. But we've all been waiting for the regression to show up, and it hasn't. And I think in the last 40 months, he's won $120 million or something ridiculous. That's like top 5 live money, like, and he's just doing it on the PGA Tour in America, having a good time. No one hates him. And it's amen, man. Let's go. Scottie Scheffler.
Such a big fan. And I'm mad at myself. It took me until about last year was really when I came around on him big time. Like, right leading up into the last year's Masters, I really started to appreciate just how great he was. And man, I just can't wait to see what he does next. All right.
And sorry, I also want to say one more thing. Why is he not on TV all the time? Is one question. But he does so much under the radar content he did 18 holes with Grant Horvat on YouTube prior to going on this run. He does tailor-made videos. He does so much, so many interviews, and he sits there and he gives thoughtful answers. He's not on camera a lot, but he's on it a lot.
Right.
And every time he is, it's substance and it's good stuff, So anytime I can see a video of Scottie Scheffler, I stop what I'm doing and I listen and I learn, because you're almost guaranteed that that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he basically let Rory off the hook, and rightfully so. Again, it was a non-topic, but it would have turned into a mess had Scottie Scheffler not just openly, when asked, said, yeah, my driver did get tested and mine was also taken out. And that pretty much squashed it, right? Because it's like, yeah, Rory, this dude finished 4th. So maybe, these guys are just really good. So I, again, can't wait. This week, were you on for the Truest? Was that the week you came on here?
No.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Because do you see any similarities with TPC Toronto?
Was I?
Cricket Club?
I think the similarities, at least between those two courses, is the off the tee stuff. I just got done with my show, and Cam Young is going to be like 20% owned at $7,200 or something. Have fun with that. I will not be joining that party. He finished 7th at the Truest because it's a driver-heavy course, but wedge intensive. As many wedges as they hit around the Cricket Club, they're going to be hitting 5 irons around TPC Toronto. So it's kind of the same, but it's also on the approach front completely different. And I think people that try and draw comparisons from the two, because Cam is not a good long iron player right now. He's a much better wedge player than he is long irons. Surprisingly, with his distance, doesn't make sense. Jumping way ahead of myself, but just as an example of the different types of golfers will fit the two different types of courses. So, and I think the wind blew a lot more at the Truist too. You know, I think it would have played a lot more difficult than we can expect this week, even though it's super long.
Yeah, I'm having such a hard time kind of getting a grasp on it. And again, I both hate these weeks because, I mean, you obviously know this even more than I do, but just like when you look at it from an analytical standpoint and there's all this previous data that you have from a golf course, like I already know the answers to the test, or at least a lot of them. This week,
Everyone
people
does,
can
though.
spectate. Yeah, well, I agree. But I'm saying like this week is one of those weeks that you speculate. But that's also, it's a gambler in me. Like I freaking love that, right? Like this is a chance to be like extra right.
The Bob Ross wig I was rocking on the show because we're painting our own pictures this week. You know, you decide how the canvas gets portrayed. And I love these kind of weeks. This is what brought the wig out, is the Bob Ross wig, because we're painting by numbers. We're trying to figure out what the canvas needs. And I love reverse engineering the course. I love going on Google Earth and using that scale and looking at elevation. Like no one knows what the hell this golf course is, you know, apart from the couple Canadians up there. And, you know, if you can predict the course better than everyone else, you know, we're all in the same boat.
Mhm.
If you can just predict it better, I prefer DFS a lot more these kind of weeks because the books usually just price it to the point where you can't really enjoy it that much. But I love these kind of weeks because it creates a bit of like creativity, you know.
So are you somebody that you think this is going to be a scoring fest?
With the wind down, if the wind remains under 10 miles an hour, I think these guys are going to be just guys that drive the ball well are going to score very well around you. I think any sort of wind will get these balls in the rough a lot more, which I think is probably the biggest defense of the course. But if you're still hitting enough fairways out here, these guys are so good with the 5-iron keys in their hands. You know, they're going to have multiple 15, 20 footers for birdie and play this course quite easily, in my opinion. Distance is one thing, but it matters more when there's the elements, you know, and I think we've noticed that a lot with like the windier it is that the guys get exposed.
Because I do wonder with the layout of that course, are guys going to be able to keep momentum going? Because very unique feature of, right, like start with a par five, end with a par five. That is a lot of holes in the middle without like a gimme scoring hole for most PGA Tour professionals. I know they got 2 drivable par fours, but you've also got 6 par fours of 480 and 2 par threes of 220, you know, in that 16-hole stretch. So are guys going to be able to go really deep? I'm not so sure.
I think it's definitely possible for them. I don't know what these greens are going to be like, but you know, if these greens are mediocre difficulty, I think, you know, they're still going to have so many birdie looks. Some guys, I heard someone mentioning like Valhalla. I think that's a great comp because they shredded Valhalla, but there were also guys that shot well over par, you know. So if you don't have your stuff, you're screwed. But if you have it, you have the keys to the test this week. And, you know, if you're mashing at 320, a 500-yard hole is still a 7-iron in there for these guys, you know.
Hell,
Like,
Jake Knapp will be hitting his 3-wood off most tees and hitting probably 8-iron into a lot of these par fours. So
exactly.
I hate these guys. I really do. Roll back the ball. The other things, like for me, again, I think you got into it. Driving distance, obviously something really looked into. Because I don't think it's gonna. These are A, wide fairways. B, they're calling it moderate rough. So I just think it's not as big of a deal if you have somebody hits it a long way, but maybe doesn't hit it straight. I think they're gonna get away with it more this week than most. I did look a lot at approaches 200 plus because for every long knocker in the field, the other guys maybe I'm looking for that might surprise this week are guys that really excel kind of from that 200 plus because they might have 6, 7, 8 shots during their round from that range. If they hit good drives on the par fives, potentially add another couple. So, I mean, now you're talking about like over half the holes. And other than that, I really did look at just recent form. Like I want guys that are playing well, particularly going to a course where everybody, not only like right or us handicappers, all, you know, on level playing field, pretty much the entire golf field is too, because nobody really knows this course. And so I do think that just sometimes can cause chaos, right? Because maybe the guys that are normally really confident aren't so confident. Maybe the irrational confident guy comes in there and just falls out, right?
Maya Stark, baby, you know. So Yeah, it's absolutely possible. I bet Keith 12 guys this week, and I'm still well within my means. I haven't bet more than a unit 2 and 8, and I'm just going to take a gamble on they're all big drivers of the golf ball. Some of them are really good long iron players too, the shorter odds dudes. And I'm just hoping that one of them learns how to putt this week. And, the ball striking is going to be there. We just need a couple balls to go in the hole on the greens. So that's basically my overall philosophy this week.
I love it. And again, did you look into history at the Canadian Open? I mean, you can look at. I don't understand why so many people are looking into that.
No, I mean, obviously Canadians, the conditions and stuff like that will be similar, and the crowd, but because the event, Scottie Scheffler is likely going to do great at this US Open, but it's not Pinehurst, which is a totally different golf course, and that he didn't like that course. So looking at the name of the event is fool's errand. You cannot do that.
Completely agree. When you rotate venues, I've never understood that.
When you rotate.
Thank you for clarifying. You're a lot smarter than me, so that makes me feel a lot smarter myself. Any DFS guys you're really liking this week? Because for me, I know I'm probably going to get my heart broken, but Sam Burns, Luke Clanton are in a lot of my lineups for cash. Again, cash games.
Okay, cash. Yeah. Luke is playing with Ludwig and Rory in his pro debut, That's a lot. There's a lot going on there.
I think that's a good thing for him. This kid's got big. You heard about the story, right, with his mom?
With the aerospace?
She quit her job literally the day he turned pro. So he's already like, I got you, mom. You're good. Quit your job. This kid, to me,
Nike money.
I mean, he does, but I'm telling you, Clanton's somebody that I've heard about for a long time, being from the South. I think he's the real deal. And I think his value both in DFS and on betting cards, that's only going to get more expensive on DFS and lower odds and golf tournaments the more he's out here. So I'm going to go ahead and just try to take the value this week. Again, for cash games, Dave, I'm not saying put him in, obviously, an MME lineup.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the nukes off the tee. Been a while since we've seen him. When last did he tee it up on the tour here?
So he had played, I looked, since November, he's played 6 times on tour, but it's been since I think
nothing
April.
Since the Houston. I haven't, I've got that as my recent boxes. Yeah. Yeah. He hasn't played since the Houston at least, but I like Keith Mitchell in that range a lot for a cash game. I think that makes a ton of sense. He's perfectly built for this golf course. Long irons, long driver, long and straight with the driver, usually miss those putts, but he's going to finish inside the top 20. I think he's great. Corey Connors as well at 10-1.
Yeah.
Great value.
How freaking solid is that guy right now?
Yeah. And he's in an era of distance. His long irons are so damn good, and his accuracy is so damn repeatable that he's, hitting a long iron hitting a 6 iron from the fairway. Where, Keith, do you think? Let's go with just a normal, say TPC Houston, the Memorial Park golf course there.
Right.
How far up do you have to be in the rough to have as good a shot at a flag from the fairway? 6 iron from the fairway, pitching wedge from the rough, 8 iron, 9 iron from the rough.
See, I believe the best iron players would always rather be in the fairway. And I think Scottie Scheffler is, again, a prime example. I think he could hit it a lot further off the tee, but he just hits that butt cut right down the middle all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather be in the fairway, personally. Now, I know that that's probably about the distance. I mean, you probably have to have at least a 50, 60-yard head start for these guys to be really thinking it's worth the risk of, say, if it tightens a lot, 60 yards up in the fairway or something.
Yeah. Because that's what I'm trying to think about, yeah. But I think, that's why Corey is always inside the top 20. Is because he's always from the shit goes wrong from the rough. Jordan Spieth will hit a golf ball in the water on a Sunday when it matters from the rough. Not going to really happen from the fairway, as much. It's still Jordan Spieth. He probably can still do that, but yeah, I think if you want to play DFS contrarian, I think accurate players with good long iron play going to be lower owned this week because I think the prevailing narrative here is bombers.
So like I also really like again like Kitayama is somebody in this field that again to your vein just needs a good putting week. He can be right there, literally with a chance to win. I really like Justin Rose this week. I know he's somebody that I threw a little bit on at 70-1 because I just think it's extremely disrespectful in this field for that dude to be getting 70-1 odds. And I think he's really underpriced in DFS as well.
Where they played the truest before the PGA Championship, right?
Mhm.
And Rosie just completely.
Oh, he played horrible.
I'm just playing him in majors right now. I can't. I think watching Netflix. I think I realized that's really all he's in the mood for, and obviously the Ryder Cup. So
I think though he views this as a pretty prestigious event.
Sure. I was on him 2 years ago or a year ago, and he was like in the mix, and then he took an iron off the tee and hit it OB on the final day. And I was like, Rosie, what are you doing? I just think he's like his mind is so strong, like when he's in the groove.
Right.
I think I like him at Oakmont a lot more, even though it doesn't quite make a ton of sense for him. I think he's going to play great.
I get it. I think the scoring's not going to be as out of hand. And I think that just leads to the credence of, these guys that are vets and know how to get it done. If I'm getting 70-80 to 1 on it, why not? I'll throw $1 on it here and there. The other guy I really like, or actually there's two other guys, Gordon Sargent and Ford. Like, do you want either one of those guys? What are their ownership levels? Do you know?
Has Gordon Sargent made the team he's on in college?
He's struggling, no doubt. I know though he's got all the talent in the world.
He does.
So like
wait for it to show its head before you don't not trying.
No, but I mean multi-entry DFS. Why not? That's what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Like it's a stab. Do you feel like is there any other of the guys other than Clanton that you feel good about this week that are making their debuts?
Oh geez. Not necessarily because I'm a data guy. I need to know what the heck's going on with these dudes.
You don't want to double down on the unknowns at a venue that you've never seen before.
Yeah. I don't have 2 wigs on. I just want to wear one, So I think I'm kind of just sticking with what I know that I think will fit this course. But, the rest of these guys is going to be quite interesting.
I love it. All right. Let's do some betting plays and then we will get out of here. I could not touch Rory McIlroy at plus 450. And I have really changed my opinion on these favorites because they have separated themselves so much since the live defections where these top guys, like if they're on a venue I feel really good about. Rory, to your point, is the guy that typically does not play golf courses the first time particularly great. And it takes him usually a while to kind of figure out venues. I think that's right why he's kind of played some Canadian Open years and others he's skipped, like even with all the success he's had over like the last 6-7 years. Plus 450 to me seems pretty steep for Rory.
Yeah,
who's so
inconsistent. Just bet him plus 105 top 5. If you've bet him top 5 for the last 12 months to win $100 every time he plays, you would have returned 194. Which, that's perfect. That's what you're looking for from a guy like this. It's his best market, and he's actually lost money in the top 10 market because he finishes top 5 basically every time he's top 10ing. It's only once every now and then that he's top 10ing and not top 5ing. So go to that top 5. It seems absurd. He's finishing inside the top 5 over the last 12 months at a 58% clip. Getting plus 105 at a golf course, Keith, this is Rory McIlroy's back. Like, if Rory could design a golf course for himself, it would be this.
That's fair.
Mash driver, hit long irons into these things. I think the top 5 bet on him is perfect.
Are you not a little worried, though, about, like, what's happened since the Masters win? Because it's not been great. Like, none of it. Him not speaking to the media, like, not reaching out to Jack, which is just like, I'm sorry, Rory. What the fuck?
I don't mind betting him the top 5 because I'll just bet him top 5 pretty much every time he plays when it's, makes sense. If he's going to be 41% owned, I'm cool taking a gamble on only playing against 60% of the DFS field. Because
Right.
then you can put all your money on the top 5 that you've lost there, barring the other 5 guys pulling their weight,
Right.
or the other 6 guys that you'll be playing against the Rory lineups with. But yeah, I like the bet there. I'm not going to overthink it. I think also he has to be motivated by what Scottie's won like 3 times since Rory won the Masters.
How do you think Phil Mickelson's feeling? I mean, we might get to 6 or 7 by the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Phil is obviously, I think what was it, Ryan Paul that said, in case you're wondering, this is how you lose like 6 figures gambling in your life. Like, what an
That's
idiot.
why he took that
what
side.
an idiotic statement.
It's because he's making bets and takes like that. Couldn't happen to a worse guy. Everything I've ever heard about Phil is not great.
Yeah.
So
very snaky.
I really like Sam Burns this week. Am I a sucker? I look at him. Of course, he can drive it plenty far. His irons, trust me, they're not great. They're still bad, but they've been getting slightly better. And the dude's just such a good putter who is right now on like an all-time heater. Like his strokes gain tournament to tournament with the flat stick is, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah. And these are big greens. So, if you're on them, you're not the poor iron play that typically results in a chip that,
right.
He's so iffy with, sometimes good, sometimes bad. You're getting him on the green, like 2 or 3 more putts per round. If things go well, then you're playing to your strengths, once you're on the green there. But I just think, the iron play, like he's a wedgie guy more so than, like not so much the long iron play. But again, he's the best putter in the field. So, I don't mind that.
And I want to see him back because I think it's hard to forget where he was like 2 years ago, where he beat Scheffler in the, match play. I think he'd won 3 times in like 12 months. And then it just like,
baby Burns.
I mean,
that's what fair. Scottie has done so well is, Ricky, JT, Spieth, Burns, Xander Cantley, those guys all just got married. Their babies are coming at some point. That screws games up. Trust me, I've got a 6-month-old now, and life is not ideal. You send a message off to the Discord. All right, guys, I'm in the lab, pumping out some stuff for you. 10 minutes later, nope, sorry, I'm upstairs for the next 90 minutes. Your golf game goes to shit when babies show up because your sleep's deprived, your mental capacity is like diminished. That's what's making Scottie's like achievements so impressive, So,
and Miss Scheffler has proven the last 2 tournaments she's over it because like the second the tournament's over, she's like, I've been holding this damn thing for 4 days. Here you go, Daddy. He's all yours.
Yeah, with the blowout, just like, and he's just like, oh, that'll happen.
Did you hear he said it happens when asked about it? He said it happens. Like, dude's the best, man.
Yeah.
The more I hear him, because I remember watching the Full Swing and just being like, this is the most boring guy on the planet. But getting to know his personality in like the 2 years since then, like again, the more I learn about him, the more I like Scottie Scheffler. I talked about Clanton. What do you think about Lowry this week? He's another guy like Connors, who just is like constantly up there. What about plus 350 to top 5?
Sure. I bet him to top 20. Like Lowry's just showing, like, he did it again on Sunday. He was 7th going into Sunday and missed me my top 20 by finishing 23rd and shooting the second worst score of the day. Shot 78. Like, he lost 3 strokes off the tee on 1 hole, Keith, like on a Sunday. So I don't know. He sold his soul for Rory because ever since the Masters, remember when he had a chance to win the Masters and finished 44th or something.
Blew up. Like that was like some John Rahm 2017 level, just self-imploding.
Yeah. Not good. And he's done that now multiple times. So the upside for Lowry is no good, but he's won you $526 in the top 20 market if you're betting to win 100 every time he plays. That is the most in this field. He's the best top 20 bet you can make.
Love that stat. That is why you are the man. I really like, again, I have Clanton, I have Burns, and then I just started taking a ton of shots again from like this 60 to I think my highest one is 110 range where Alex Smalley is a guy just week after week. I think eventually he's going to win. I think getting him again 60 to 1 on a weaker field, first time venue, like, sure, why not? I like Knapp. Anytime I see a course where strokes getting off the tee is big, he can get super hot with his putter. You're getting him 80 to 1. Grillo enters this week in really good form. I like him actually just across the board. Like I do. I like him. I like betting him to win top 5, top 10, top 20, back-to-back top 20 starts. Played well at the Philly Club, which I know you said that's different, but he's one of the better long iron players in the field. So it's not going to be a big difference from hitting wedges to long irons for him. And then Lee Hodges is just somebody at 110 to 1 that like, I think he was 8th or 9th in my model. And I'm going, wait a minute, did I do something wrong? Like this guy's 110 to 1 and he was either 8th or 9th in my model. So
How much par 5 scoring you got in that model?
Not much though.
Because he's a great par 5 scorer and great with the driver, heavy stuff. I'm curious as what's really got him up there for you because he's been playing like ass for the last little while. But
it's his stroke gain on bent greens, driver distance, and then the strokes gained approach from 150 plus.
Beautiful. There we go. Yeah, I love Lee. I don't know if I'm betting him. I'm in on DFS for sure. I think I'll be going there.
7K, great value.
Yeah. I got a couple. What about I'll add you one more to your card for Alejandro Tosti at 170.
Dude, I was so close to putting him on my card.
You can still do that. It's 175
I'm going to.
1.
I'm just saying, like the article's already up, but I will. Okay. He'll be going on my personal card for sure.
Oh well, then you just repost the article out there with Toasty as the ad. You know, like little free repost stuff. I think like Houston, the Houston Open, he's played well there 2 times now, and I think that's a course I've been really leaning into as a comp this week. So I like him a lot for that department. If you're not in the mood to chase a Taylor Pendrith outright, I like him for a top 10 at plus 250. He's been, I think someone mentioned to me, Ben Cody said that Taylor Pendrith literally is the guy that will have played this golf course more than anyone. He's played,
and he's playing well this year.
Yeah. And guess
at a mile.
One of his better finishes was at Houston. So I like that a lot for Pendrith. I think he kind of stumbled into his win. You know, he shouldn't have won that thing. Ben Cole's like literally served it up to him on a platter. And I'm not in on the outright, but I'm in on the upside, you know, for the top.
Yeah. He Jeff Ogilvie and Danny Willett his way into a non-major, which, again, that would be the way I'd want to win a major because I'm such an anxious person. It would be miserable for me trying to win a tournament down the stretch. But when you're just going gung-ho to shoot the best round, thinking you have no chance of winning the tournament, oh, man, that'd be just like that. That, to me, is the dream because it's like I get my major championship and I don't have to go through the sweats of, choking on live TV. Any other guys you really like this week?
I like Mackenzie Hughes at 45 to 1. You know, if you're looking at the Canadian Open track record, he played quite nicely the last time. But also, his driver, Keith, is on a path to better performances. You know, he drove the ball real nicely at PGA Championship and was doing nicely with the driver prior to that. He's got the short game to like survive treacherous conditions as well if they do get hectic, but also can make the putts, you know, if you need that. Who else did I go with? I went with this entire 7K range. I went with Taylor Moore, Matty Schmidt, Nicholas Norgard, Rio Hitsutsuni, Gary Woodland, Kevin Yu. All on my betting card, all in my player pool. That's 80 to 1, 66 to 1 range. Just send it, baby. Just give me. They all just nuke it off the tee.
Woodland. I did not know Woodland had gotten that long off the tee until we were, I think it was like researching the PGA. He was like top 7 on the field in driver distance, which I knew he was long, but I didn't remember him being that long.
He's got that dad strength.
He could dunk a basketball strength.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that ever. All right. Dude, again, I can't thank you enough for filling in last minute. Ryan is taking some much needed family time. I do ask those at the end of the show. I don't put this out in the beginning because, I don't want to like blow his stuff out there, but I also believe in the power of prayer and the power of positive thoughts. Ryan is getting ready to go through another radiation treatment. He's had 2 tumors removed from his brain in the last year and a half. Dude never complains. Shows up and does a radio show 5 days a week. Has actually came on this show, this year and done 2 off the tee with me. And he's just one of the best dudes. So please be thinking about him. I don't know how much he will be here week in and week out moving forward. Obviously, that is just like how he feels because he has not done this kind of radiation before. But if I know Ryan, he'll be here more weeks than not. So, but I really do appreciate, I didn't reach out to Byron until I think like 5 o'clock and was a little embarrassed to ask you. It's like, hey, remember that one time we talked and you came on the show? Can you do it again like 3 weeks later with no notice? He's like, yeah, sure. No problem.
It wasn't for you, Keith. It was for Ryan. No, just kidding. But no, I love chatting golf with you, dude. And I've been in that situation, trust me, where someone flakes out or life comes at you. You got to, pay it forward. If anyone ever needs you last minute, go ahead and, like the viewers out there, just make the world a better place and, keep writing your thoughts. And I'm assuming he'll be doing good for himself, but it's always nice to have the support when you really need it. It's nice to lean on those around you.
Absolutely.
So, and sending all the good vibes to Ryan.
I am talking to his wife because Ryan is one of those people also never likes to ask for stuff, but depending on because they don't know exactly what all the costs and stuff are going to be this time, but I told them if we need to do a golf tournament, a GoFundMe, like whatever, they need to let me know. There's a lot of people that care. Obviously, Ryan's built a really big fan base down in Panama City for his excellent show on ESPN Northwest Florida. So there's a lot of people out there that will definitely help. And he's a real one, man. Very fortunate to have got to meet Ryan. And I have no doubt he's going to beat this because he's that annoying of a person, right? Like that he's going to handle something awful like this with class and dignity and beat it where I would bitch and complain and then probably die. So, again, attitude is everything. But Byron, please plug anything that you would like, all your great work, where people can find you, etc.
At the Model Maniac. And then if you're in the mood for all my showdown stuff, all my models, all my tools, Model Maniac, Patreon. I am relentless. I'm giving you golf content pretty much 7 days a week. So it's all there in the Model Maniac Patreon.
And you never know when he's going to dress up as Bob Ross. So, I mean, we're painting by numbers. You made my night and probably my week because I was not able to watch your show. I was frantically trying to finish everything before my show started.
Yeah.
And then when you hit me with that and I had not seen it, I about lost it. So I'm going to go back and watch it. I cannot wait to see the entire segment. But you are, again, great man. Really appreciate you. Guys, check out all the work on fantasy6pack.net. Please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you guys soon. Good luck with your bets and DFS lineups.